Hey everyone, it's Monica Reynolds, and I've got the great Holly from the MAPS team on here. If you have any questions, since you're on early, and I know we've got a bunch of you on early, you've got me early. If you have any questions, put it through the chat box, or you can raise your hand and we can call on you. So we've got about 6 minutes before the call starts, so I always like to get on the call and answer a few questions. And this time of the year, it's all about the shift. You know, the shift is happening, and I know a lot of you are interested in getting the right person. Just went through career visioning, I don't know, for the fourth or fifth time, and every time I hear it, it's always great. And I hear it differently because I learned at a certain level, then I got another level of learning. It's kind of like any kind of training. You listen at different levels, you hear different things. There's no new news, no new information usually. It's just you listen at a different level. So if you have a question, put it through the chat box, and Holly, you'll interrupt me if there's a question, right?
Absolutely.
Good, good, good. So who has a challenge finding a great assistant? Let me know if you're having a challenge. I've got some things that you can go find the right talent on. If you haven't taken career visioning, I'd be looking that up to see what the schedule is for that. You can ask your team leader if you can't find it, your MCA in the Market Center. They will be helpful to you finding the next career visioning. These team members are going to be critical. And there'll be a lot of people looking for good jobs in the shift. There'll be some agents that are not cutting it, but they have great staff, so keep your eyes open for opportunities with the shift. I was in Gary's private mastermind last week, and he really laid out the opportunities for growth with agents looking around and with assistants that will be downsized or looking around that have great experience and quality. So keep that in mind. So questions, put it in the chat box. And you can always reach me at monicareynolds.com. And we're going to go through some great information. The call will be 30 minutes long, and I'll end on time so you guys can have a digest all this great information. And Holly, are the slides available to them? How do they get a copy of the slides?
We will be sending out the full recording as well as the registration link after the program is over to everybody that registered.
Great. Do they get a copy of these slides, though?
Yes, they'll see it as they go through. Like the recording will have all the slides, so they won't get the actual slide deck, but they'll get the webinar that shows every slide that you go through.
Okay, good. I know. And then if you want to take a picture of it, you can. If you really want, like, pass the baton that I'm going to be talking about, you can email me at monica@monicareynolds.com, and I will get it there for you. Happy to do that. So hire and train the perfect real estate assistant. Boy, I've had a few in my life that weren't perfect, and I know exactly where I made my mistakes. I hired friends of friends, and I hired family, and I didn't set expectations. I even hired a really good friend of mine. They're really hard to fire. Kind of like firing your friend from being your friend, so don't do that. Not when people say, my wife wants to come to work with me as my assistant, I go, great. Pay her to stay away or get a divorce attorney because it's not going to be pretty. Because
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Just to interrupt, we had a great comment pop up, and it said, "Hey, Monica, I'm an EA, and I'm sitting in on this webinar to gain perspective from my agent's point of view."
That's great, but but remember, I'm the person that's the champion of the assistant. So if anything, I beat on the agents because the key is that you guys are the secret weapon. So that's fine. I'm glad for you to listen because hopefully your team is growing and it'll be helpful for you to find the next perfect real estate assistant to join the team. So that's great. That's fine. I appreciate that. Not a problem. Not a problem. So sometimes people ask me, should I hire my spouse? I said, pay to have them stay away because you want to keep, state and country separate. You want to have your family and your office separate when at all possible. Have I seen couples work well together? Yes. Have I seen couples not work well together? Absolutely, because you can't help but drag the business home. There's no breaks, and then what happens is you see people at work and your spouse at work or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you go, wow, that's bizarre. I didn't know they did that. And so you kind of start adjusting your thinking and not compartmentalizing work and family, and it just kind of blends together. So it's done by many people, but I always say it's really difficult. Better to have separate lives like that come together as a family. Just my personal opinion after 40 years in real estate. In fact, I just got off a call today, Holly, where the husband and wife were going at it, and I said, "Okay, let's just stop right here. This is not going well for a coaching call. That you guys are at each other, and we're going into the holiday time, so we're either going to reschedule the call, or you guys really need to just, cool your jets here a minute." So I had to get control of that. This is out of control because you
And
can
we are at the top.
you can cross the line. Oh, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go.
Yep. Okay, let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Hire and Train the Perfect Real Estate Assistant with your MAPS coach, Monica Reynolds. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That is fasttrack@kw.com. Monica, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Let's go to the first slide. All right. So it's hire and train the perfect real estate assistant. I've been doing this job probably more than anyone else in the country. I've trained more assistants and agents than anyone in the country. I have like over 76,000 one-on-one coaching calls logged, and I've done so many trainings. In fact, I wrote the book on assistants in the 90s, and I remember meeting a gentleman, and this was the first and only time I was in a gym. I was at a recruiting seminar. This great gal, Carol Johnson, used to do these in Chicago in the early 90s, like 1990 or 91. And this guy next to me kept asking me questions about the book that I wrote. And I went, man, I just want to get in here and get on the treadmill. This guy keeps bugging me. And I said to someone after he left, I said, who is that guy? Gosh, he wouldn't leave me alone with his questions. And they said, oh, that's Gary Keller. He's starting that franchise, Keller Williams. And I said, oh, good luck with that. Guess where I'm at now. I work for Gary Keller. So there you have it. So with that said, it's been a long haul, but I've been the champion of real estate assistants. I got thrown out of a Coldwell Banker office because I had an assistant and they didn't want the liabilities in the 80s, late 70s. They said, no, but you can't have that. Where will they sit? I said, well, sit in my chair. And I'm doing more business than anyone in that office collectively every month. And yet I got tossed out because I brought in an assistant. They didn't want the liability. So the real estate assistant, I will always champion. I will always take their side. I get what they deliver, and what they deliver is excellent customer service to support you. They support you as far as building your team, helping with the customers, growing your business. There's not a better support person. They are the secret weapon. And the hiring process has to be done correctly. Now, I'm all about career visioning. I've been 4 or 5 times. In fact, I was just through a 3-day course again last week. I make time for these things. Even after 40 years, I keep going back and back and back because I listen at a different level. So when you look at your assistants and making investments in them, you take the time to hire correctly, and obviously the training is critical. So the ad goes out, and the ad basically, I'll give you a copy of that. It's basically going to say, exciting opportunity in real estate. There are, must be a fast learner and quick learner and a fast-paced office, excellent computer skills, etc. Now that ad can go out to Indeed.com, which a lot of mega agents use, and myself included. You can put it on LinkedIn. I like a company called Wise Hire. They will do all the work for you. In fact, send out the DISC test and get their personality and screen them, and then send you resumes where you should then call and follow up. So if you've taken career visioning, you want to follow that process. I'm just going to give you a little bit abbreviated things over the phone, and I'm still congruent, and I bow to the career visioning process. Resume. So I divide them up into 3 piles. One pile is Burger King. They have no admin experience. The next pile is they have admin experience. The next pile is they have admin and real estate experience. So now I've divided those resumes up. Now I'm going to look at another thing. Have they had less than 4 jobs in 2 years? If they've had 2 jobs in 2 years, I'll look at them. If they've had 4 jobs in 2 years, I don't care what the circumstances are. Something goofy going on there. They're moving around too much. Nope, not going to interview them. Now remember, I'm pretty black and white if you've never met me before. Number 3, over the phone interview. I'm not going to go through a lengthy process until I catch them on the phone and I say, hi, it's Monica Reynolds with Keller Williams. Thank you so much for your resume. May I ask you a couple of questions real quick? Is this a good time? Did I catch it a good time, or shall I call you back? Now, I'm respectful of their time, and I'm going to call them back if they want me to. Otherwise, I'm going to ask them, well, no, that's great. Go ahead. I'm looking for, can they put 2 sentences together? So when I ask the first question and say, I've got your resume here. Tell me a little bit about your job experiences. And if they do this, let me think a little. Okay, I started. Okay, nope, not right. You're representing me. You're going to represent my brand. You're going to represent my culture. You're going to represent my customer service. You got to be able to think on your feet. You got to have a great tonality in your voice. Second question that I ask is, describe the perfect job for you. If you can just wave a magic wand, what's the perfect job for you? Third question you want to write down is, so what are you the very best at professionally? If I was to ask one of your previous coworkers, what would they say about you? I'd love to hear that. Remember, I'm just having a quick casual conversation. Got one last question. I just want to hear they can think on their feet. They've got a good personality over the phone. They're not the walking dead. Number 4, so what are your hobbies? I'm just curious. Do you have any hobbies? And sometimes they'll say, no, I don't have time for hobbies. I'm a single mom, 2 kids, blah, blah, blah. Now, they opened up the door. Legally, you can't ask if they have children, but they opened up the door and they go, great, what are their ages? Oh, that's cool. That's so much fun. And then I'll go from there. So I'm just asking those questions. Now, if I like what they said, then I'm going to say this to them. Here's the next test. I don't say it's a test, but I'm telling you, here's the test. I have 2 very important personality assessments. You can't win or lose. It's just who you are. One is a DISC test. It'll take about 20 minutes. And the other is the KPA. So, Ms. Holly, let's go to the next screen. And so today we're talking is Wednesday. And so what I'd like to share with you is that would you be able to take both of these tests? The KPA may take about 45 minutes. Could you get both of these done by 12 o'clock noon on Friday? They say, yeah. I say, great. I'll expect them by noon on Friday. At 12:10, 12:05, 12:15, they show up. I'm not interested. They didn't meet the deadline. I'm not interested. It's a test. What I really like is getting it back that same day, because then I say to myself, oh, they're interested. They've got the shiny eyes. I want to know more. I bring them into an office interview and I judge immediately because I am judgmental. I'll just say that I judge. I can't cure myself of this anymore. They walk in the door. I look at how they're dressed professionally. And I also stick my hand out and I shake their hand and I say, nice to meet you. I look them in the eye and they're a big smile. If they hand me a dead fish, which means that limp, wimpy handshake, you have to know my dad was in the military for 30, 40 years, whatever, officer in the Air Force, and so I learned how to shake hands. You cannot give me a limp fish handshake because then I think you have no confidence and I think you're weak and I think all kinds of bad things. So that's not a good sign. And when I sit down to ask you questions, if you're fidgeting, looking down, you're not looking at me in the eye, you're not head nodding, you're not smiling, then I'm not interested also. So there's provisioning questions and things like that, which are all great. So in that interview, though, I've got some questions that are a little different. Write this one down. How many people on your Facebook page? Wow, 1,130. Wow, good for you. Would you be willing to share with them where you work and to help me find business that you can be compensated for? Well, yeah, great. Okay, good. If they say no, tell me why. Well, my mom's in real estate, so she gets all the referrals. Oh, okay, good. Well, I would cut that interview short because I'm looking for permanent team members who want to help the team grow. So I also say, do you carry an iPhone? Yes. Okay, may I ask you to pull that out? I'm just curious. Can you just scroll down your contacts on your iPhone to the very bottom? Tell me how many contacts you have. 720. Wow. Would you be willing to let them know where you work also? Oh, yeah, not a problem. And then here's another question. Tell me what you learned about me before you came in here. Now, they should tell me that they looked at my website, they found out this and this and this. If they say, well, I really haven't had time. I know you sell real estate, so go ahead, tell me about your office. Bad answer. I'm looking for the shiny eye, somebody who wants a job and who is paying attention to where they want to go put themselves, where their opportunities are. So I will cut interviews short, and I'll say, thanks for coming in. I appreciate your time. And I'll cut them short when I know it's not going in the right direction. However, if I gave them a DISC and a KPA, which they all did, I will validate those. Does this sound like you? I will take the time. They took the test. We owe it. It is the right, respectful thing to validate those. Okay, so the second, office interview is about, from career visioning, and you're going to do the life story. I'm going to also test their skills. There's typingtest.com. They say they've got skills, etc. I'm testing them. The other thing is that I'm really clear about is, having them type out an email. And I'll say, I want you to type out this email. Dear Jane Bowles, it was great to hear from you. There is a property that I want to show you. And then I'll go on for a few other sentences. Now, some of them will write HERE. It was great to hear from you. Well, that would be wrong. So most of you all know that. I know you know that. And there is THEIR. Well, that would be wrong. There is supposed to be THERE. So I'm looking for those little things like that would drive me crazy. All right. Okay. So then let's look at the second office interview, career visioning, and then testing the skills. And the references I would have checked before the second interview, and going 3 levels deep, because when you're talking, and I never talk to friends or family. I tell them that it has to be past coworkers. And then I'm always asking that worker, so who else should I talk to? I need to talk to one more person. Who would that be? And that's all in career visioning. So let's go to the next slide, Miss Polly. Thank you so much. And so going to the next slide, if you have team members, you want everyone to meet and greet and get their assessments also. On the last interview, which would be number 4 usually, I go through the job description line by line and say, does this sound like something that you would like to do? You could do this. Yes, yes, yes. I go through the schedule and when they come into work and what's expected of them. I go through the pay and what their base salary is, what the bonuses they can earn, the opportunities they have for recruiting, the opportunities that they have for profit shares in recruiting, the opportunities that they have, like I said, in referrals and reviews. The key thing is that there's a lot of opportunities, but I go over the base salary in the offer letter. I also go over the 6 paid holidays I pay, and I also go over the fact that it's very important that they understand that they get 3 paid sick days. If there's more than 3, then it would go against their pay, or they have to make the time up. I also state that after 1 year, you get 1 week's paid vacation. After 2 years, you get 2 weeks not to be taken consecutively. 3 years, 3 weeks not to be taken consecutively. And so that's all clear in the offer letter. There's no mystery there. It's very clear. Next page, Ms. Holly. So we're moving on. So when you look at this in this system, and if you go to career visioning, then one of the next things is 30, 60, 90-day plan, which I wrote for the executive assistant. And let's go. So the SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, and timely. And go to the next page, Ms. Holly. So one of the things that blatantly is challenging is when you hire your first executive assistant, or the person that does it all from listings to close and contracts, is that you have to make sure that you start out and not, when somebody wants a drink of water, you don't put the fire hose down their throat. You don't do that. So the key is the phone is the critical thing. That's the cash register. So they've got to learn to answer the phone correctly. That's the cash register. How to handle a call where somebody's upset. How to handle a call when they want to list a property and the agent's not there. knowing the potential buyer, potential seller scripts. And I only want to speak to the agent. How do they handle that? The database would be critical in the first 30 days, tracking the database growth, managing all the entries, name, address, phone numbers, and emails, email marketing videos, knowing how to clean up the database. And then the third thing is the listings, from the pre-list package to processing the listings to cropping the photos to doing the communications, open houses, the inventory, Facebook stuff. That's the first 30 days. And everybody else tries to add everything else on top of that. Learn that, own that, master that. Let's go to the next slide, Ms. Holly. So in the next 60 days, then, it's the closing files, building the closing file checklist, calling the sellers with updates, managing repairs, and negotiating only if they're licensed. They can't negotiate anything if you're not licensed. Tracking numbers and sources of business and lead generation. Okay, they can maybe support one of those systems like research or sending out letters, etc. Okay, 90 days. Next page, Ms. Holly. I know I'm going fast. Good news, this call's recorded. Got lots to cover today. All right. So 90-day goals, all marketing, all listings, all pendings, database, phone and scripts, tracking weekly numbers, goal monitoring, assist with 1 or 2 lead generation systems, the processes. Now, will this person be 100% proficient in all categories? Nope. It's like giving birth. It takes about 9 months for someone to be 100% proficient. The basics should absolutely be there. The basics should absolutely be there. Okay, next page, Ms. Holly. If you have a question, put it in the chat box. Holly, any questions before we go on to the next slide? Holly?
Nope, no questions. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to put into the questions box real quick?
Put it into the box and just take a breath here to see if anybody has any questions, because I know I covered a lot. And that's the way you can ask me questions. So let me move on and put some questions in the chat box. That's how you get your answers answered immediately. Okay, so here's the sample ad that I wrote a zillion years ago. In fact, part of this even got in the MREA book. Interesting, huh? Yep, Gary Keller liked it. You should be an organizer, a positive person, a good communicator, both written and verbal, have excellent computer skills, have a good sense of humor, be a fast learner with a quick mind, and be willing to work hard and smart. You'll be working in a fast-paced real estate office. And you can cut that down. But that's a great ad. And I used to get so many, and I still do, many resumes when I'm looking for a position. Please indicate salary level desired. I like to see what they're doing. When somebody comes in and they say they want $100,000, I say, is that a salary you're used to having? And then I've had to have people prove those things. And, you know, these people may be overqualified for some of the positions that I had. And however, it was a great place to start. Okay, next slide, please. Be sure you give out your phone number, but don't give out your identity. Be patient. Those are going to roll. The resumes, or excuse me, the applicants will roll in and the resumes will roll in. So I wanted to take a moment on some of the things. So the Perfect Real Estate Assistant is a class that I've been doing with MAPS for, I think, 9 years now, going on 9 years. And every time it evolves and changes on each session, because with the shift coming now, there'll be a lot more focus on days on market and price reductions. And the listings have to be the foundation. So I'm very fortunate to be in Gary's private mastermind of the top 100 agents in the company, and he just had his mastermind last week. And one of the things that he said is that it may take triple the inventory to do the same amount of business, because the market is shifting days on market, and so you're going to have more and more inventory, and you're going to have some really motivated sellers. The cost of listing a property with an unmotivated seller is not a good idea in the shift. It's just going to cost you about $2,000 to $3,000 when you look at the cost of processing, the time, etc., and the loss of business by dealing with someone who's not motivated and keep talking to them about a market that's shifting downward. The buyers and the sellers are saying, the buyers in the market say no to their price and they won't list, and you've got a real big problem. So that's why an assistant's so good in this piece. So passing the baton is critical. So one of the things that happened, true story to me when I was sewing in Long Beach, California. I came into the office and I was in a hurry, typical double D here, threw the file down, said, oh, it's a great listing. They're highly motivated. I got to go. I got to go to the appointment. Here's the file. Okay, grab that. I'm out of there, right? I forgot to tell them a few tidbits about this. So my assistant, Tori, at the time, called, and she was Miss Happy on the phone. Hi, we're excited. It's a good time to talk. We're so happy to help you sell your home. Now, I failed to mention what the situation was. So she gets through the call, and she knows that she kind of toned it down because the wife was not responding well. And she said, it was really nice speaking with you, Mrs. Johnson. May I ask you, I'd like to speak to your husband and just introduce myself. How may I reach him? What's the best way? And she goes, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you call him over at his pregnant girlfriend's apartment? That was not a good thing. They had just built their dream house. She had just had a baby herself. They're getting divorced. The house is going up for sale. She got a 250-pound Rottweiler that's her husband's dog that she's taking care of now because he doesn't have room for the dog. It gets even more and more complicated. So for a great agent and a great team, the agents on this call, you need to stop and take 5 minutes and have your assistant fill this out, or if you're a high C, you'll fill it out for them. But in my world, the assistant would say, okay, no assistant should ever process a listing and call anyone that they don't know the motivation. Are they happy? Are they sad? Is someone sick in the home? Is there an illness? Date to go on the market? Is there a loan balance? HOA company? Listing price? Buyer? Are they a buyer? Yes, they are. Great. What agent's going to be helping them? Are they relocating? That's a whole different deal. Is there a sign? Yes or no? Termite, in my particular area in California. Lockbox? Yes or no? Showing instructions? Professional photos? Yes or no? Let's go to the next screen, Ms. Holly. And then looking at just listed letters, flyers, seller relocating, where, referring agent, get on Kelly, refer them out, pets, yes or no, Tank the Rottweiler, wife hates the dog, the husband loves the dog, kids, yes, brand new baby, 2 months old. We have to pay attention to feeding times and really respectful of the times, and no morning showings and afternoon showings are okay, special instructions. Oh, by the way, the wife's a driver, the husband is an S. And then those will give you a whole story there in itself. Okay, so in that communication, you're talking about the customer experience. We have to have over-the-top customer experience in a shift. And so in the trainings that I do, it's laying all the checklists, the letters, the communication, the scripts. And again, I'm a big proponent of the listing being called every day. And some of you are going, every day? Are you kidding me? No, not really. Because I guarantee if you call them every day, your assistant does, within 21 days, you'll have a price reduction, and within 21 days, it'll be sold. Versus average days on the market is 97 days now. Well, that's just stupid. Don't do that. Have a very proactive plan to get that home sold in 30 days or less. Do not listen to what the market stats are. Go for it. And you all have had listings where you put them up on and they've sold in a few days or a week. It's because you priced them correctly. And that's the bottom line there. So in the training, if you go to the next page, Ms. Holly, being respectful of everyone's time, we go through the 3-week honeymoon of communication. So in the first 3 weeks, the assistant is to call every day. A letter of the copy of the MLS printout is sent. Agent to call and say thank you. That would be you once. And the buyer agents to preview if you have a buyer agent team. Thank you letter of listing with all the signature. And, of course, the introduction call within 1 hour of receiving the file. Now, the assistant may call just to introduce herself or him and say, would it be convenient for us to talk at 3 o'clock today, blah, blah. That's great. Just call. Make them feel important. MMFI, make me feel important, is written on their forehead. They are paying 6% of the value of their home. And it's so critical, you guys, these systems. Champions are champions because they do the basics great. And you can be a champion of real estate if you have the basics down. Next slide, Ms. Holly. So week 2, with all of that, do you think that that guy that just listed his house and is paying 6% of the value of his home is feeling good about his decision? Probably. Because when you left as an agent, You didn't tell them what day it's going to sell. You didn't tell them what it's going to net for. You didn't tell them when the next showing is, and you didn't tell them when to start packing boxes and hiring a moving company. You didn't tell them anything other than, I'm going to get your home sold. There's so much uncertainty. And if they get 6 to 7 to 8 different contacts and emails and someone verifying that the sign went up from your great assistant, do they feel like you're going to earn that 6%? Yes. Do they feel like they earn that 6% when all of a sudden the sign goes up and they haven't heard from anybody in a week, and all of a sudden the assistant calls and says, hi, we have a showing? No, no, no. Week 2, assistant to call and review the MLS and any disclosures and check for mistakes. And the other thing is email links to the website. Assistant calls obviously every day, but you as an agent should call once a week yourself. And I'm a big proponent. You might want to write these questions down. Under no circumstance do I believe that those online showing things or, where the agent goes on and gives you feedback are going to give you any truth. So there are 3 questions that my executive assistant, listing manager, would call and say, thank you, John, for showing our property at 123 Cherry Street. We really appreciate you doing that at 3 o'clock yesterday. Do you have 2 minutes? I want to ask you 3 really fast questions. Great. Number 1, is your buyer writing an offer? No, thank you. Number 2, what would it take for your buyer to write an offer? Sometimes there's something that we can negotiate and work out. Number 3, we value your opinion. How much do you feel that the home will sell for? Now, we're going to give that information to the seller who's dying for feedback, who wants that feedback. Now, in my assistant training, I teach those assistants that every time they talk to an agent that doesn't have Keller Williams in their name, that is a potential recruit for you. That is a potential recruit for your team or a potential recruit for Keller Williams. Either one is fine. And when I say that, and that they build spreadsheets of these people, and that the assistant is taught to say, by the way, we're so excited about the technology that Keller Williams has that we're going to be known as a tech company, and love for you to hear about that. Would you take a 5-minute call from our team leader? These team leaders all need to have leads. They have to have 2 appointments a day, 10 a week, and 40 a month in net 10. That's a 2, 10, 40 net 10. That is what John Davis talks about all the time. So they want the leads. Build your downline. Build your assistant's downline. That's how you keep great people, too. There's great opportunities there. But those are just a few of the gems that we go through on these calls. Okay, next slide, Ms. Holly. Respectful of everybody's time. Send me a question in the chat box if you have one. Week 3, we're sending them a new CMA. In a shift in the market, I'm sending them a CMA every single week. Now, I'm not saying the price on there. I'm just saying, here's your original CMA. Here's this week's snapshot. How many homes are now listed? How many sold, under contract? How many closed? Anything expired, withdrawn, canceled? They're seeing it all. Let the market do the work for you in the shift. You'll see more listings coming on. You'll see them sit there, and they can see how they're priced against the competition. You'll see what's sold and why. Let the CMA do the work for you. We then send a plan of action of 18 things that we do to market their home. And I have the assistant check it off and write done with the date it was done. At the end of 2 weeks, here's my script. Remember, this is recorded. Mr. Seller, we know that our marketing works 100%. It sells every single listing. The only thing we're testing is the price. The only thing we're testing is the price. We have completed our plan of action. Every single buyer and every single agent that would be interested in your property has seen it and has decided not to see it or even be interested in it because of the price. We need to have a price improvement, all right? So we go through the number of showings, and we call for a price reduction. Now, the assistant can't ask for a price reduction unless they're licensed, so I always say get your assistant licensed. Hire talent first. If they're not licensed, get them licensed. Assistant to call every day. That is over-the-top customer experience. Next slide, Ms. Holly. So here's the opportunity. This is just a sampling of some of the things that I do. We cover things on Kelly. Command, which is a new database, will become the new system that Gary's been working on for a year and a half, 2 years. That will be for everyone March 1st. We'll be going through that also. I talk about lead generation from probates to expireds to FISBOs and how your assistant can help with lead generation. We talk about tracking numbers. We talk about customer service. I have over 50 customer service letters, 75 different checklists. Remember, champions are champions because they do the basics better than anyone else. Get the foundational pieces. I am absolutely the best at foundational pieces. I know I am. I'm the only one that's dedicated 40 years to this. I get it. I've either written the systems or I've stolen from the best agents in the country and modified them and even made them better. So you're getting some great material that'll take you out of the learning curve. Never had anyone, knock on wood, in the last 20-something years of training say, gee, I want my money back. There's no value there. Never had that situation happen. It won't happen for you. I guarantee you, if you're looking for foundational system pieces, building a great team, invest in your assistant. This call is for also agents who do not have an assistant yet that want this information. We have about 30% of the call that don't have an assistant, but you are the assistant if you don't have one, so you better learn your job a little better, I always say. So think about this. This next launch is on December 4th at 1 o'clock Central. That call is repeated that same day every week. There are 3 calls a month. The first call every month is for you, the agent, so that you can hear what I'm going to teach the assistant the next 2 calls, so there can be a lot of accountability, a lot of synergy to building this team. And so with that said, there's about a 475 policy and procedures manual, and you get pieces of that each week. And at the end of the course, you've got a complete policy and procedures manual. You will never be hostage to an assistant who decides to leave on their own, gets pregnant, or gets a job, or husband or wife gets transferred and they have to move. You're never hostage to that situation because you will have your systems in place. So we're offering $100 off of the program. The program is $195 a month. You get a complete system. The calls are live. A lot of them aren't live. A lot of group calls aren't live. Mine are live. You get to talk to me every single time. And the other thing that's great is they're recorded. So if you miss a call, because your call for the agents to teach you to be a great leader is on the first call is every month. If you miss it, it's recorded. Go back and listen to it. And so with that said, I really encourage you to think about signing up today. Love to have you. This offer is only good for 24, 48 hours, something like that. So we need you to commit now. What a great way to start the year. What a great way to invest in your assistant. So Holly, do we have any questions? And I'm respectful of everybody's time. Any questions?
Just one. Somebody asked where the personality assessments are located.
Okay. So your KPA, your market center will have those available to you. The disc test, you can go to monicareynolds.com, and it's on my website there, and you can get those. Those are free. So it's monicareynolds.com. The disc is free. If you have any trouble finding that, you can just email me at monica@monicareynolds.com, and I'll make sure Stephanie, my great assistant, will help you navigate and find it. But it's on the website there. Good.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, a couple more came up. So they were wondering, again, how much it is, and then also if they're taking bold, is there a discounted price?
Yes, it's $100. So we're offering it that to the bold, so it's the same discount.
Same discount.
So if you're taking bold, you're going to get the same discount. And again, it's $195 a month. And here's the thing. This price is what I charged in 1990, which is really interesting. And I've asked Diane if we should raise the price or not, and we both agreed that we want this to be a real value. This is part of my contribution, is to really make sure that you're going to have every system from lead generation to tracking numbers to hiring correctly to building an awesome, awesome team that, you've got a machine in place. You've got a reference manual for if you want to add probate. You got a reference manual if you want to go after divorce attorneys and add that lead generation. So I cover everything from listings to closings to repeat and referral business to asking for reviews to Facebook to Command to Kelly. It's all in there. It's the most comprehensive system that you can get, and I'm here to deliver it live calls. Okay, anything else?
Yes, we got actually quite a few more questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, do you make adjustments in your program for a commercial agent assistant?
That's a great, we've had so many commercial people who have taken it, And the bottom line is what they say is that they make adjustments in their thinking of some of the things, but a listing is a listing, a sale is a sale, customer service is customer service. There are some nuances that won't apply, but overall tracking numbers that they say it's a great course. So we've had so many commercial assistants give me raving reviews that say, hey, this was great, it's perfect for us. So I highly recommend it. And it's just twisting a few words here and there. It's the same. I used to coach some commercial guys, and I used the same program on them, and it was fine. So it was great. All right? Great question. Next one.
Okay, and then just reviewing again how long the program is.
The program is for 6 months. So it starts in December. There will be 3 calls in December, 3 in January, 3 in February, etc. And the calls are always the same day unless there's a holiday that falls on it, always the same time. They're live and they're recorded. So there's a total of 18 calls and 450 plus pages, and everything is updated every single time, and lots of examples and how to do things.
Okay, and then we do have a question as far as from a lead agent. Do they need to be on all the calls, or is it really just the agent calls and then
Let me
assistant calls?
clarify that again. That's a great question. I want to clarify that. The first call every month is for agents only, because then I can talk pay, I can talk strategies on bonuses. It's not for the assistant. And so the second and third call of every month is for the assistant. On the first call of every month for the agent, the lead agent, I am talking how to be a great boss, how to retain an assistant, how to help them when they're not, stepping up to the challenges. In my world, an assistant doesn't have a cul-de-sac salary job. They can make bonuses. I always say, your pay is your pay. That's for your livelihood. The bonus is going to change your lifestyle. And so what I want you to hear on what I'm saying is that this is a great, great investment. And a lot of times we are great salespeople. We're not great bosses. We're not great leaders. And that's what I do on the call every month, plus telling you what your assistant's going to learn so that none of you are ever going to say to me, well, I think the calls are great. I'm not sure what my assistant did. Oh, no, we have homework assignments. And you need to know what those are going to be so you can watch and see that they're doing them. Okay, what else, Holly?
And then let's see. So somebody just hired a director of operations. They were never an assistant or never had an assistant. How would this help them in that new challenge?
Great question. All right. So a director of operations needs to know how to sit in all the seats. So there are 2 classes. One is called PREA, Perfect Real Estate Assistant. If you hired a director of operations who doesn't have real estate experience, they need to go into this class first. Absolutely, without a doubt. They need to know this class. They need to have foundational pieces. This is a perfect training ground for them. The second thing is once they've graduated from this class, then they qualify to go to the Perfect Operations team, which is deep dive into the director of operations and their job description and them understanding the hiring process, them understanding the numbers, the P&Ls, them understanding, all the different seats on the operation team and how to guide and train those people on that team. So yes, we have another call after this that they can graduate to. So first is when they have no experience, they absolutely go to this call first. This will be the first investment. Okay, what else?
Okay, and then would this be helpful if any of your assistants are virtual assistants?
Yes. In fact, I've had a lot of virtual companies put their assistants through these. We give them a certificate at the end, and then these virtual companies are using the certificate to get great agents to agree to work with them because they've had my training and they've got their certificate. So yes, a lot of virtuals go through this. It's absolutely perfect. These virtuals are able to do exactly what a lot of them are doing at the desk in your office. Yes is the answer.
Okay, and here is, I think, the last question. If you have a team of 3 with 2 other agents and sales of $38 million, but don't have an assistant currently and may or may not hire one in the next year, would you recommend this course or to do a different one first?
No, see, I'm stuttering. So my question is, how much more can you agents do without an assistant? Can you really do more? Because you're doing assistant work. And if you had 20 hours, say, or 10 hours more back a week, would you go take another listing and your average commission is $5,000? So my question to you is, I would definitely take this course, because at the end of the course, your hair will be on fire, if not before, in the first, 2 months, where you're going, oh my gosh, we're hiring someone. We have to make this investment. This will free us up. We are not going to do the paperwork anymore. We are salespeople. It doesn't say in a salesperson definition that you know how to cross the T's, dot the I's, and you're perfect at paperwork. Who wants that job? You're salespeople. So the answer is yes, get on these calls. And then I would really encourage you, as coaching you right now, you're doing 38 million. You guys need to be thinking why you don't have an assistant, why you're a control monster, and why you're trying to do a job you're really not qualified for. So there you have it. Okay, who else?
That's all. That's the last
Okay,
question.
good. All right, so from the bottom of my heart, I love training real estate assistants to be the secret weapon. I love the fact, and I've talked to Gary Keller about this many times, you have to invest in training for your people. You have to make sure that they are listening and they're understanding the processes. They understand the value of a customer. They understand the phone's a cash register. They understand they represent you every minute of the day. And building a team and growing together and creating a great life for your assistants and a great life for yourself. And ultimately also the customer is oversatisfied, which then creates repeat and referral business, which then the world goes around and you make a lot of money and you have a great successful career. So make the investment. I look forward to having you on the calls. I look forward to personally talking to you. Have a great week and have a great Thanksgiving, and sign up today because we have $100 off. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time. Bye-bye. Thanks, Holly. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.